So probably not the best lighting conditions, but I think this will work for what we're trying to do here today. So it's time to smelt. That being said, let's go over the plan real quick and kind of see what we can do. And a couple things I would like to mention that I've run into. When you're doing this kind of thing, there's not really a difference between baking and cooking and chemistry. And smelting is just really high temperature chemistry. So a lot of the equipment that I've ended up using has been, these are a pair of dollar store tongs that I picked up to use later. I needed a stainless steel spoon, dollar store. This stainless pan, I picked this up at a flea market, Goodwill. It's a great source to find this kind of thing. And the 10-year-old in me can't resist showing you these great big zinc balls that I picked up off of Amazon. These are for a later step. We'll get to that in a couple of videos. But while all this stuff's good, keep it separate from your regular food cooking stuff, especially, and I'm going to say this, if you've got somebody in your life that cooks, do not rob the kitchen. It ain't worth it. And if you got yourself one of them good Southern girl cooks, absolutely do not touch the cast iron. Don't go anywhere near it. Don't buy the cheap cast iron, because if she sees it, she's going to be mad whether it's hers or not. So that's just a thing. So what I've got here, this is anhydrous borax that we discussed, soda ash, and this is flour. And I'm going to be using just a little bit because when I roasted my quartz, I may have accidentally made a slight bit of metal oxides. And this ore was actually laying out on the surface for 100 years, and some of it may have naturally oxidized. And it's just a bit of a safety. I'm not using very much, but I'll have it if I want it. I've got some scrap iron components. Now, I'll show you here in a little bit. I've got a cone mold that I made. And that kind of brings me to another important point. The scrap iron is going to be used as my iron in the smelt. But it's 1/4 inch plate. But I made my own cone mold. Because they're just ungodly expensive to buy. But my point here is, if you need a cone mold, I cannot highly enough recommend taking a welding class at your local college. And if you don't have the time for that, make friends with the welding instructor. They spend all their day herding teenage cats, and they can get a little frustrated with that sometimes. So don't be their next problem. Be their friend. Be respectful. And you can usually find that most of them are very creative people interested in making things. And in this case, while I can weld, I can't weld as well as an instructor can. So I had all the interior welds for my cone mold done by an instructor. And then I finished off the legs that don't look nearly as well. I'll show you that here in a little bit when we get down to it. And then this last bit, this is what we're going to be smelting today. So I mixed this up off camera. So I had the sand galena with a lot of quartz in it. And I've got powdered galena. I'm calling it galena, but it's really a mix of whatever came out of the drum. That was in the water that I cooked off and added to mud and dried it to a powder. So I did this in ounces. I took 20 ounces of the sand mix. I took 10 ounces of the powder mix. See, I've got about twice as much sand as powder by volume buckets. And I'm just kind of guessing here. I took another 20 ounces of the soda ash. I took 10 ounces of the anhydrous borax. And then I put, maybe 5 ounces of flour in it. I just kind of, blessed it with some flour. Not a great deal. But, and I'll say this as well, if you've got the anhydrous borax, put it in a sealed container, or it will just become regular borax, just soaking up moisture. In fact, it's a good idea to put everything in containers. And then this container is just for shaking it up. And all this will be going into crucible, which I will be doing here in just a minute. And it's kind of important not to overfill this because I'm expecting some outgassing from the soda ash. And I don't want it to boil over and ruin it, or lose a lot and have to clean up my furnace. So I'm going to load this probably about 2/3 full, and I think all this material will fit just fine. If it doesn't, I'll save some, and then once it's settled down, I can spoon in a little bit more and let it bubble down. That'd be kind of a time waste, but this first run is just an experiment. I just want to see how this goes. So that should get me through it pretty quickly. So the plan is load the crucible, get it heating, and I'm going to start at a low heat, bring it up slowly. Once it's up to temperature and it's ceased bubbling, I will add the iron, and then I will give it some time to reduce out the lead. When that's done, I will pour it off in my cone mold, let it cool, and we'll see if I was successful or not. So I'm going to go ahead and get this loaded up, and we'll get ripping. Okay, so that's probably just a little bit more full than I wanted. I'd say that's 3/4 full or so. It should cook down, and like I said, I just have to be very careful with it. And if I make a mistake and it boils over, I will have learned an important lesson that I will remember. So this goes just straight in the crucible, or the crucible straight in the oven. Turn my propane on. Little fire. I've got that set pretty low. And we'll get started with that. And this is the cone mold, and you can see that beautiful welding that I did not do in there. And I just wanted that pretty weld so it'd be easy to get out. And here in a little bit, before I pour anything in here, I'll go ahead and give it just a touch of WD-40. So, yep, we're on the way. So I'm not going to go too near it because I can't talk well with the mask on. And the mask, by the way, works awesome. Right now, I've got it up to about 1600 degrees. It's been running for a little while. I kept it up. I'm running low pressure on only one burner, so I'm bringing it up very slowly. At this point, it's a little over 1600 degrees, and it's bubbling in there. It's kind of a little bit splattering out, and it's very gray on top, like the galena has come up to the top and is bubbling. We'll just have to keep letting it roll a little bit longer as it just slowly comes up. I think once it gets up to about 1800 or so, at that point we ought to start seeing a pretty good reduction in the contents and maybe getting the flux up to the top. But we'll just have to see how it rolls. Okay, so it's been a little bit longer yet, and it's up to about 1750 or so. It's starting to get a little orange glow to it, and all the bubbling has stopped. So at this point, I'd say crucible's maybe a little less than half full. So I've gone from 3/4 down to a little less than half. I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat up, and we're going to get up to about 2000 degrees, and when we do that, I'll add the iron. the temperature is right. It's up a little over 2,000 degrees, but the charge is very thick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut it down real quick and try to spoon in some borax and see if we can't thin it up a bit. Ooh.